don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like a word paper.
Okay, racist.
Right.
And Kenji.
Have the weather check, please.
Okay, you guys ready? All right, both teams ready.
Yeah.
Couple notes. Stay in your room after this game. Both of you know what's at stake here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Puzzle point. A monopoly on this practice was the major factor in the Ajuran Sultanate's conquest of the Horn of Africa. The merchant Nabatean kingdom received their Aramaic name from their mastery of this practice. Parakrama Babu I of the Sri Lankan Polonnaruwa kingdom devoted his life to developing this practice in the form of waivas. Historian Carl Wittfogel.
Your vision.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh.
For 10 points each, answer the following about the work of literary critic Jerome McGann. McGann is the world's leading scholar on this poet, having edited a 7-volume critical edition of this poet's complete works and a 1-volume collection of his major works for the Oxford World Classics series. A notable passage urging the reader to close this author and open thy Goethe appears in Sartor Resartus.
Close thy...
Byron.
Byron.
McGann has been an influential scholar in this field since its inception, exemplified by his creation of an online archive of the complete works of Dante Gabriel Rossetti. This field's more zealous advocates like to draw far-fetched conclusions from boring quantitative analyses of texts. Answer?
Yeah, corpus analysis.
Digital humanities. McGann also edited an edition of this decadent Victorian poet of Atalanta and Caledon, whose collection of poems... 10. Toss 2. A linguist studying these languages ridiculed non-universalist theories of their structure as the cafeteria principle. Absence of inflectional affixation, lexical tone, and derivational non-compositionality are characteristics of these languages according to their prototype hypothesis. These languages sometimes develop into a continuum. 10. This thinker argued that neoliberal policies like privatization and financialization amounted to accumulation by dispossession and wrote a brief history of neoliberalism. Brennan Boiti's famous author of Social Justice in the City, a Marxist geographer who defended Henri Lefebvre's concept of the right to the city. Harvey Molach, yes, it's David Harvey. Harvey Molach borrowed from David Harvey to formulate this two-word redefinition of the city. Molach's article, The City as, this two-word phrase, argues that urban governance is driven by real estate investors looking to maximize special exchange values.
Something market? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Answer?
Virtual market.
Growth machine.
Oh.
David Harvey's compatriot Sharon Zukin heavily criticized this earlier urban theorist for neglecting political economy in her critique of urban planning, the death and life of great American cities.
Jacobs.
For 20. Toss 3. This compound is commonly attached to an initiator for copolymerization via NMP. This compound's 4-hydroxy derivative has been investigated for clinical use as a membrane-permeable SOD mimetic agent. This compound catalyzes a class of oxidations that rely on BAIB, or sodium hypochlorite, as secondary oxidants to convert this compound into an N-oxoammonium salt. Both this compound and its hydroxylated derivative are available at low cost since they are formed from the easily produced precursor triacetone amine. Like PDN or DMPO, derivatives of this compound are commonly used as spin traps or labels for
Tempo.
10.
Nice.
The originator of this concept refined it by imagining a kingdom where every person is treated as their own end. For 10 points, he stands principle from Immanuel Kant's groundwork for the metaphysics of morals, which was that one only acts according to that maxim. This 19th century British philosopher synthesized Kant's categorical imperative with John Stuart Mill's utilitarianism in his major work, Methods of Ethics, which proposed a universalistic hedonism. This contemporary Harvard philosopher proposed a reasonable rejectability standard for moral laws in a book espousing from contractualist ethics what we owe to each other.
Oh, what we do each other? Oh, that's big.
Scanlon, for 20.
Yes, can.
Toss 4. After moving to America, this man mentored Romer Bearden at the Art Students League and helped introduce him to collage. This artist drew a word bubble containing the letters KV above a doctor embracing a skeleton and painted the characters 1, 2, 3, hurrah, entering the skull of the man. That's nice. One of these passages in French from Regnard's Le Légataire Universel foreshadows a will reading scene in which all but one of the heirs are first given and stripped of their inheritances. For 10 points each, name these short passages, many of which are unattributed and were written by the author of the novel they appear in. The first is then taken from The Maid's Tragedy, reads, "Since I can do no good because a woman reads constantly at something that is near it."
I don't know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. I don't know. Like
Answer?
Webster aphorisms.
Epigraphs of Middlemarch. Middlemarch's several protagonists include this pure-minded woman. She marries the withdrawn scholar Mr. Casaubon, who becomes jealous of her friendly relations with his young independent cousin, Will Ladislaw.
Dorothea.
Another of Middlemarch's protagonists is Tertius Lydgate, who works for no salary and promotes innovative practices at one of these institutions backed by the rich banker Mr. Bulstrode.
Hospital.
20. How's it 5? This character conceives of conversation as a served dessert of ripe fruits to be piled atop a silver plate, signifying his wife's mind. This man insults his daughter's suitor by offering him 2 fingers of his left hand in greeting as he stands warming his boot soles at the fireplace. While escorting his confidant to her carriage, this character observes that his love interest has too many ideas, ominously adding, "Fortunately, they're very bad ones." In an attempt to impress this character, a young man auctions off his valuable collection of bibelots, keeping only his prized enamels. This man warns of an irrevocable break that will occur if his wife returns to England to see her dying cousin, who secretly secured her the fortune she inherited. This man tells Ned Brosier he is not rich enough to marry his illegitimate daughter, Pansy. This character succeeds in marrying a woman who rejects both Lord Warburton and Caspar Goodwood. For 10 points, name his husband of Isabel Archer in the Portrait of Lady.
Newland?
No.
That's a different thing.
Yusa.
Gilbert Osmond.
Yeah. That's the name.
Toss of 6.
Seemed like
Li Ying's 2007 documentary about this site opens with footage of a 90-year-old swordsmith at work. A plan to raise this site and replace it with a dog racing track was aborted, thanks to a letter written by Vatican Ambassador Bruno Fiddle. On its grounds, a bronze statue of a homing pigeon atop a globe sits adjacent to a statue of a German shepherd. The most recent addition to this site was a memorial to Radamanand Pal, the lone dissenter in the 1946 trial.
the Tokyo Palace.
No. In 1978, it was the site of a secret ceremony at which a head priest consecrated the memory of 14 men given the designation Class A of the INTFE. Every August 15th, this site is mobbed by journalists eager to report on which politicians visit, as Junichiro Koizumi did annually during the early 2000s. For 10 points, name the Shinto shrine that is infamous for honoring Japanese war criminals.
Yasukuni?
Yeah, 10.
Good job. Is that the religion? I don't think so.
A major politician from this family, named after the Aztec Emperor Cuauhtémoc, became the first elected mayor of Mexico City. His name is family of Mexican politicians. His most famous member was a governor of Michoacán who carried out agrarian reforms to nationalize the oil industry.
Cardenas.
Lázaro Cárdenas' son Cuauhtémoc served as a witness in negotiating the 1995 San Andres Accords with this Mask University professor, who emerged from the jungle on horseback with con-flowing bodyguards.
Subcomandante Marcos.
Cuauhtémoc Cárdenas split with the PRI to run for president in 1988. But this type of event marred the election proceedings. Cardenas supporters claimed that the system failed in reference to this event, which allowed the PRI candidates to defeat Cardenas.
Okay, so like the ballot counting computers were all fucked up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the exact answer.
Surprising this exactly.
Toss 8. According to tradition, a fire in this city that fused metal statues together originated its namesake high-quality bronze. The city's trade connections with Egypt led one of its tyrants to name his successor after Pharaoh Sontic. This city's potter's quarter adapted Assyrian artifacts to produce perfume holders shaped like owls, and invented the black figure style that dominated archaic trade. The saying, "Not everyone can go to this city," reflects how sailors flocked to this city for the sacred prostitutes at its temple of Aphrodite. Pausanias describes an ornate cedar chest given at Olympia by this city's tyrant Cypselus.
Corinth.
10.
That's right. It wasn't me.
In the first chapter of Le Mort d'Arthur, Ulfius asks for Merlin's help sneaking into this place for 10 points each. Name this castle in Cornwall where Uther Pendragon has sex with Adrian in the guise of her husband Bordeaux.
Maybe I have nothing. Did I read this part of more? Go. Titago.
This woman twice pretends to be Guinevere so Lancelot will have sex with her. The first time this woman uses the bed trick, she conceives Galahad. The second time, Lancelot jumps out of a window and Guinevere finds him.
Oh, Galahad's mom, yeah, that might be right. Or Aston or
Elaine.
Yeah. Elaine's father is Peleus the Fisher King, who is the guardian of this object that Galahad succeeds in obtaining.
Right.
30. Awesome. An early instance of polymeter appears in rondo movement by this composer, in which an oboist plays in 4/4 time for 13 bars against 6/8 time on the strings. That movement, which ends on a historically unprecedented high F for the oboe, concludes his oboe quartet, which he composed for the virtuoso Friedrich Ramm. In a later aria, he reused the opening phrase of the F major andante ma adagio middle movement of his B flat major bassoon concerto. 10.
Cool.
The biosynthesis of niacin begins with the oxidation of this molecule into kynurenine for 10 point T stainless amino acid, whose side chain is an indole group. This amino acid's wavelength of maximum absorption can be used to track protein folding and unfolding. Kynurenine is the starting point for the biosynthesis of this cyclic lipopeptide antibiotic, which functions by inserting into the cell membrane and forming aggregates, altering membrane curvature, leading to rapid depolarization of the cell.
Okay. No, it's not that.
Answer?
Cephalosporins.
Daptomycin. Daptomycin, along with 2/3 of all other clinically used antibiotics, is produced by this genus of soil-dwelling actinobacteria, whose members include Bacillocholera, Rhizius, and Hygroscoccus. Answer?
Mycobacteria.
Streptomyces. That is 10. Lots of time. In a poem from Michael Drayton's Idea, the speaker ridicules a witless gallant who begs him for one of these things. In a poem George Herbert sent to his mother, the speaker asks God, "Why are not these things made of thee?" A poem about these things says each one is a coin, its face reveals the soul, its converse to what power to
A sonnet.
Good us.
Oh, nice.
This organization rated films an A for morally unobjectionable, B for morally objectionable in part, and C for condemned. For 10 points each thing, this organization founded by Catholic bishops in 1934, which used the threat of mass Catholic boycotts to control the content of films.
It's such a thing.
Catholic version of
Answer?
Catholic.
Legion of Decency. One sign of the decline of the Legion's power was the box office success of this B-rated 1959 Billy Wilder movie that starred Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon as musicians who dress in drag to escape gangsters.
I like it hot.
Yeah. 7 years before Some Like It Hot, the Supreme Court case Joseph Burstyn Inc. v. Wilson held that state bans on film violated the First Amendment prohibition against this kind of censorship, which happens before the censored expression takes place.
And we call it preemptive. Maybe.
Yeah.
The word that ends that, but I know it's called.
Answer?
Preemptive.
Prior restraint.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's
Class of 10. A combinatorial version of a theorem named for this man was first proved by James Cannon, who did so by decomposing actions on a certain object to actions that have undergone Mobius transformations. That theorem named for this mathematician can be extended to both one-sided and two-sided boundary arcs by making use of the Schwartz reflection principle, and is used to build analytic continuations. That theorem named for this mathematician was generalized to the uniformization theorem by Felix Klein, and states that there is a biholomorphic mapping from a non-empty simply connected open subset of the complex plane to the open unit disk. A pair of differential equations named for this man and Cauchy gives necessary and sufficient conditions for functions. 10. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Does he disbelieve?
You got it.
Fuck.
You got it.
In the Crisis of Confidence speech, Jimmy Carter used this forward phrase to describe the activities required from the American public to combat the energy crisis. To their point, he skipped this phrase. In his final public speech, William James coined this phrase, proposing conscription into public projects to approximate the experience of armed service.
Metaphorical track. What's happening? I don't know.
Answer?
Sign up for the.
Moral equivalent of war.
Okay.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was in the audience for the moral equivalent of war speech, partly enacted it with this new deal agency. Robert Fechner headed this agency, which employed unskilled young laborers in environment-friendly public works.
So should this be CCC maybe?
Yeah, that's right. CCC.
And wait, what's your answer?
CCC.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, there were so many C's.
I foresee.
All right. This member of the Johnson administration used James's moral equivalent of war as the basis for Johnson's Job Corps program, War on Poverty. He replaced Thomas Eagleton on the Democratic ticket in a presidential election.
McGovern. Yeah, that's right. McGovern.
prior.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, that's wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, so for 10. And that's that.
2:30 to 15.
All right.
Yep.
What is it?
2:30 to 15.
Okay, well, score.
2:30.
All right, toss 11. Peasants who did not belong to this group were forced to join it by guild-backed militias led by the Hidden One following a supposed prophecy by Elijah and Enoch. Practices of this group are known from writings of a mysterious author only called the Young Man. This group, whose numbers swelled as a result of the revolt of the Germanies, created the secret alphabet for disseminating stories like the Handless Maiden.
Like Germany's other heads?
No,
No?
I said a second. Created a secret alphabet for disseminating stories like the Handless Maiden in the language of the Ajami. This self-created controlling group created the Maritime Republic of Saleh and unsuccessfully sought aid from the Huguenot stronghold of Béarn. Monty mountain bandits supported the rebellion of these people under Farx Abenferach that was crushed by John of Austria in 1571. The village of Hornachos was exempted from the general expulsion of this group, which was forced to prove its loyalty by keeping doors open on Fridays and visibly eating pork. For 10 points, name this ethno-religious group in 16th century Spain, consisting of Muslims who converted to Christianity.
Moriscos.
10. Answer the following about intaglio printmaking for 10 points each. In this intaglio technique, an acid-resistant etching ground is combined with granular resin to create subtle gradations of tone in the print. This technique is responsible for the shaded, textured background in the sleep of reason produces monsters.
Let's go with better.
That's okay.
Prompts.
Color is or
Aqua tint.
Yeah.
Nice.
Intaglio techniques are contrasted with this family of techniques used to create woodcuts and metal cuts. It shares its name with the form of sculpture, in which the field of a flat surface is chiseled away, leaving the sculptured elements raised. This master of intaglio techniques pioneered the use of iterative mordants to refine his etchings, which include the hangman's tree and other illustrations of the 30 Years' War and his miseries and misfortunes of war.
Yeah.
Third. 2012. In this film, a telephoto lens produces an extremely flat image of one of the protagonists hitting a golf ball toward a horizon decked with trees and a single huge mountain. In this film, a shot of a woman sitting up in bed, pulling her knees to her chest, cuts to a reverse angle of her in the same pose on the ledge of a window, overlooking a cityscape. As the photo is taken near the end of this film, the protagonist frowns and looks away from the off-screen photographer, at the woman walking away from him and getting in an elevator. This film opens with a close-up of the bottom of a woman with
Awesome translation.
10.
Awesome translation.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
This approximation underlies the augmented plane wave and Coringo cone Ross-Turner methods. For 10 points each, see this approximation in which the potential is assumed to be spherically symmetric around each scattering center within a given radius and constant outside that radius.
Hard shell.
It's the muffin tin approximation.
Oh, wow.
The muffin tin approximation is a computational tool for mapping these regions of allowed energies and solids.
And conduction gas.
Is that the same as energy bands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. If you say so, yeah. Because band theory does not account for electron-electron interaction, it cannot describe this type of material. Bose-Einstein condensates in optical lattices can undergo a phase transition between a superfluid state and this state. Not insulator.
Oh, okay.
Classic 13. A 1986 book argues that this character's repeated use of the word ex-eiphnase makes his central image the lightning bolt, which flashes like the sun in later paintings of Turner. This character reports as saying that victims of a viper's bite only want to speak to others who have been bitten likewise. This character takes some fillets off of an ivy and violet wreath intended for a poet, because that poet only won one contest 2 days before. This character compares a friend to the satyr Marsyas as a haughty flute player, and to sculptures of Silenus, which open to reveal images of gods inside. Martha Nussbaum's The Fragility of Goodness argues that the work in which he appears is redeemed by this character's speech. 10. One of these factions was exemplified by the pure modernism of Peter Eisenman and Richard Meyer, while the other was led by Robert Venturi and Denise Scott Brown, who championed postmodernist ornamentation. For example, each named both of these architectural factions, which had their colorful names popularized by Robert Stern.
Okay, so maybe like, there are definitely ones by the whites. Let's say the whites and reds.
whites and grays. This designer and architect of the Portland building in the Denver Public Library was an original member of the New York Five, but defected to the grays and became a leading postmodernist. The highest profile defection from the whites to the grays was this glasshouse architect whose design for the AT&T building included a decidedly postmodernist ornamental top.
Johnson.
Yeah, 20. Toss up 14. This character asks a man if he pulls his legs up under him as he falls after telling him how she dreamt she was falling over a cliff. After this character says they decorated the veranda with flowers and raised a flag for her deceased mother's birthday, an aspiring sculptor mistakenly gives flowers to this character's stepmother. This character is fascinated by the thrilling terminal illness suffered by the delusional shipwreck survivor Limestrand. She contemplates the excitement of being abducted and raped by Vikings while talking to a man she compares to a troll. This character demands a kingdom from a man
It's in the name. Hell.
Time. This character demands a kingdom from a man she claims compared her to a princess and kissed her when he visited her town 10 years earlier. This woman inspires an aging vertigo-afflicted architect who can hang a wreath from the tower of his steam house. For 10 points, name this woman who appears as a girl in Blade from the Sea and becomes a paramour of Halbert Solness and the Master Builder.
Is it Helga?
No, it's Hilda.
Hilda. Okay.
Toss 15. This function may be computed for systems with spherical symmetry using the hypernetted chain or Perkins-Yevek equations. This function may be written solely in terms of integrals of motion for systems in equilibrium with regular orbits according to the Strong-Jeans theorem. The time constant of Landau damping is proportional to the derivative of this function with respect to velocity. This function's time derivative equals the negative of its Poisson bracket. No. With the Hamiltonian. This function is the ensemble average of the Klimantovich densities. Decreasing the number of degrees of freedom by 6 and integrating the Liouville equation produces an equation for this function of s particles in terms of this function of s plus 1 particles. For 10 points, name this function that gives the number of particles per unit volume in phase space and obey's Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics in the kinetic theory of gases.
Distribution function.
Yeah, 10. This song lent its name to a faction of Greek nationalists on Samos who rebelled against their Ottoman favoring Kelly consort landlords. For 1014, name this song that boasts that Madame Vito failed to cut everyone's throat in Paris and to drop us all on our asses. This savagely popular French Revolutionary tune was named after the Piedmontese jacket of the sans-culotte.
I'll probably have to say it, but Pure Russian.
Carmagnole. Madame Vito in the Carmagnole is a reference to this Austrian woman who was the subject of a staggering amount of popular smut depicting the affair of the necklace.
Mary.
La Carmagnole glows that the Swiss Guard tried and failed to kill the French revolutionaries when they stormed this palace in Paris, where the royal family was kept after they were forced to leave Versailles.
2 layers.
Yeah. Alright, what's the score with 5 left?
75 to 2.
Okay, that's doable.
That's 70 for them.
Yeah, I just have 70.
You have one.
They have 1, 2 names.
I have 6 and 11.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
You're right.
Whatever.
Thanks.
Alright,
I think we get on next.
Yeah, don't name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good for playing.
Toss-up. In a story titled For a Man with This Name, the narrator gives a brief outline of the plot, then gives the reader the option of meditating on it individually or reading the fuller account, trusting that there will be a moral done up neatly and condensed into the final sentence. That story of this title reflects on an influence that lays its strong hand on every deed which we do and weaves its consequences into an iron tissue of necessity, and concludes that individuals are so nicely adjusted to a system that by stepping aside for a moment, a man exposes himself to a fearful risk of losing his place forever. In that story, a man with this name pranks his wife.
Yeah, Wakefield.
This Wakefield?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Never mind. I think
There's
it's
another story this week. Oh, probably the bigger.
This B-flat major piece is the sixth of its composer's Opus 36, 8 characteristic pieces. The next each named a short solo piano showpiece by Moritz Moskowski, a favorite encore of Vladimir Horowitz. It features extensive staccato melodies and rapid scale passages created between hands.
I definitely don't know this.
No.
Etincelle or Sparks. Moskowski composed many piano pieces in this genre, usually intended to hone a particular skill. Chopin's most popular works in this genre include ones nicknamed Black Key and Revolutionary. Both Chopin's Opus 10 and Opus 25 collections of 12 etudes conclude with pieces in this key, one of which is the Revolutionary Etude. This key is a relative minor in B-flat major.
Wait, no.
C.
C minor.
Yeah, for 20. Awesome. The so-called father of this kind of firm was a French immigrant who earned the nickname the General for supervising R&D for the U.S. Army during World War II. That man, Georges Doriot, founded the ARDC. Paul Gompers has written extensively about how these companies became the primary beneficiaries of a liberalizing amendment to Iriza's Prudent Man Rule in 1979. They are referred to metonymically as Sand Hill Road, after a mile-long stretch of road in Menlo Park, where many of them are headquartered. These firms, which include...
Tanks?
No. Which include Greylock Partners, Sequoia, and Kleiner Perkins, generally operate by making offerings in rounds dubbed Series A, Series B, and Series C. Individuals who use personal wealth to compete with these firms are dubbed angels. Prison Point's named is former private equity company that provides startup funding to tech firms like Google and Facebook.
Venture capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two answers required. The feud between these two authors began when one of them wrote a review savaging the other's book, The Prisoner of Sex, and comparing him to Charles Manson. For 10 points each, name these two authors whose feud culminated in an iconic appearance in the Dick Cavett show, prior to which one of them headbutted the other backstage. During that appearance, Cavett was goaded into telling one of them to take his question sheet and fold it 5 ways and put it where the moon don't shine.
I don't know.
Answer?
The dog Cody.
Vidal and Mailer. The Prisoner of Sex was Mailer's book-length response to second-wave feminists, including this author of the landmark Sexual Politics, which singled out Mailer for extensive criticism among contemporary authors.
Yeah.
Millett's book begins with analyses of sexual encounters in novels by Mailer and this other American author of Tropic of Cancer. For 20. Concept 18. The core complex formed by these proteins consists of 4 alpha helices held together by the interaction of one glutamine with 3 arginines in a region known as the zero ionic layer. One of these proteins lacks a transmembrane domain, so its function is dependent on palmite oylation of cysteine residues in its DHHC domain. A protein responsible for dissociating these proteins from one another, named for its inactivation by N-ethylmalonyamide, is the ATPase NSF. For these proteins to act, complexin must first be displaced by the calcium sensor synaptotagmin. Members of the genus Clostridium.
Snares.
10. Answer the following about classical archaeology for 10 points each. Andrew Wallace Hadrill and Mary Beard are calling attention to the deterioration of this Roman resort town, arguing that man is wreaking a damage far greater than Vesuvius. It was preserved with Davii and Herculaneum.
Pompeii.
Light exposure in the years since excavation has dulled the colors of frescoes in this villa on the edge of Pompeii. 10 frescoes in this triclinium illustrate a woman's initiation into a dynastic rite.
What? Oh yeah, that's one. There's one that's under features, but yeah.
Villa of the Papyri.
Villa of the Mysteries. This scholar of Pompeii has called for a halt on further excavation to re-examine the already uncovered sections of Pompeii. He analyzed the development of the Roman imperial cult and the power of images in the age of Augustus. Answer. Soccer for 10. Toss 19. British soldiers in World War I used this man's name to refer to German 15-centimeter artillery shells. He opened the Club Deluxe, which struggled until the gangster Oni Madenhart purchased it from him and transformed it into the Cotton Club. A legend that this man was denied passage on the Titanic was popularized by a Leadbelly song. His relationship with Lucille Cameron led Georgia Congressman Seaboard Roddenberry to propose a constitutional amendment. In 1913, he skipped bail and fled to Paris after he was convicted for violating the recently enacted Mann Act. In 1910, over 20 people died in a series of race riots and lynchings that targeted nationwide celebrations of this man's victory over James Jeffries, who was dubbed the Great White Hope for coming out of retirement to challenge him. For 10 points, he is an outspoken athlete, the first black boxer to win the heavyweight championship.
His name is Johnson.
10.
Yeah. That's a good toss-up.
Edmund Spencer inverted the traditional associations of this topos in the Bower of Bliss sequence in the Fairy Queen. For 10 points each, be this Latin literary term for idyllic safe spaces, frequently gardens, common in pastoral and narrative poetry going back to ancient Greek and Latin writers.
Pastoral.
Locus amoenus. A locus amoenus features prominently in an allegorical medieval French poem called the Roman of One of These Things. A sick one of these things is destroyed by an invincible worm in a William Blake lyric.
Rose.
The Roman de la Rose was begun by one poet and then continued at much greater by another named either.
Ah, fuck. There's one name like Gaston or something like that. Gaston.
Guillaume de Loris and Jean de Meun. So it's 10. Cost of the last. This approach was used by Albrecht and Axel to develop a model that assumes two types of sellers with different reservation prices. First generation models in this approach suffered from the Rothschild paradox that homogeneous goods cannot be sold at different prices under equilibrium conditions. A major model that used in this approach was devised to challenge Lucas's neutrality of money model, and exhibits several Pareto rank equilibria for output based on the optimism or pessimism of agents in the steady state. Darren Asimoglu and Robert Schimmer used this approach to prove that social insurance policies that reduce risk aversion can increase output. A major model used in this approach, which imagines an island where producers plant coconut trees they cannot consume before trading.
Matching theory?
Prompt.
Search and
Yeah.
matching theory? Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Thanks, George.
These data structures are often used to compactly store language dictionaries since each of their edges can be thought of as representing a letter of the word. Template named these special trees, whose common name was coined by Edward Fredkin. They are used to implement burst sort and improvement of radix sort.
Try.
Tries are often used to store dictionaries that hold this kind of variables, which is often used to store text.
Straight up.
The burst sort algorithm, which makes use of tries, is an example of an algorithm that is conscious of the size of this entity, giving it an empirically faster runtime. The Cooley-Tukey algorithm is an example of an algorithm that is oblivious to this thing's parameters. Answer?
Branching factor.
Cache for 20. And that is the end.
Oh, yeah.
Nice game.
All right. We got you.
Sorry, dude. Just here, turn off the recording. All right.